Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. That's a perfect segue. He brings all the luck to the high school sports throughout the South Jersey area, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Mike, good morning. How are you today, sir?
Pretty good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, man. I am good. We got an Eagles playoff game this weekend. I think we're still trying to wrap our heads around that.
That's big doings around here in Philadelphia, and then a good time. Late Sunday afternoon. I like that time slot, but it does for high school basketball fans. It's a bit of a dilemma because you got two good games at that time over at the Seagull Classic. You got St. Augustine Prep versus the Patrick School, who's the number one team in the state of New Jersey, played last night on national TV against LeBron James's kid and got beat out in Minnesota. They'll be in Absecon on Sunday. That's like an NBA schedule. You're in Minnesota on Friday, New Jersey on Sunday.
Any load management.
Exactly. And then you got Holy Spirit versus the Pleasantville boys at 7:30. So, but I think with technology today, you can probably, get the game on your phone and go to Holy Spirit or figure something out, basically,
Yeah, absolutely. You can be streaming on your phone, your tablet, your old laptop. You can be somewhere. You can probably stream it from your car dashboard. So plenty of ways to stay in touch with everything. But where should we start, Mike? Because you have, I saw you were at a big game last night, mainland Ocean City. You mentioned the Seagull Classic at Holy Spirit High School this weekend. You already mentioned some of the key games, some games going on there today. Wildwood Catholic obviously is always on the radar. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the game last night that you were at?
Yeah. Let's start last night, and it was a wild one over in mainland. First of all, a great atmosphere, a packed gym over there, mainland and Ocean City, and one of the more wilder games I've seen. Mainland, comes out. Luke Mazer, Jake Cook, Jaquan Mace. They're moving the ball. They're making 3-pointers. They're up 19 at the half. They're up 22 in the third quarter. You figure it's going to be an easy night, and then Ocean City comes storming back. Joe Rapetti gets incredibly hot. He starts throwing in acrobatic layups from all sorts of angles, and all of a sudden you look up and here comes Ocean City, and next thing you know, Ocean City's got a chance to tie the game in the final seconds, and they end up losing by a point. So it's never dull when Ocean City and mainland play, but last night was kind of one that afterwards, after it ended, everybody kind of looked around and said, well, what did we just see? How do you sum that up, basically?
Yeah, that's a wild one there. And, how it relates to the Seagull Classic, I saw that you have an article up with the Press of Atlantic City talking about the schedule in the Seagull Classic, which continues today at Holy Spirit, concludes tomorrow. It features, as you mentioned, some of not only the state's top high school basketball teams, but really the nation. So talk about that tournament and what it means to local teams and some of the marquee matchups and storylines you're looking for.
Yeah, it's a great event over at Holy Spirit. It really brings a lot of the state's top teams. In the case of the Patrick School, one of the best teams in the nation, into the area. And what I like about it, and what I like about the basketball season is, just about every weekend there's one of these events, and you can go there and you can see 4 or 5 teams. It's easy to see teams and get a handle on teams and kind of put teams through the eye test. So this is a great event for that. And I think the Seagull, they tip off, I think, in about 35 minutes at 9 a.m. You can have breakfast at the Seagull with the Wildwood girls and the Holy Spirit girls. And it ends tonight at 8 o'clock with a great game, the Wildwood Catholic boys against Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is a state Group 4 contender. And Wildwood Catholic, of course, we've talked about them several times. They're 4-1, and they're coming off a tough loss to Archbishop Wood Monday night at Cherry Hill East before a packed Cherry Hill East gym. So Wildwood Catholic will look to rebound from that tonight when they play Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, of course, coached by the great Phil Colicchio, a state Group 4 contender. So Wildwood Catholic continuing that tough schedule tonight at the Seagull at Holy Spirit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how they perform for sure. And then obviously a big matchup tomorrow, Holy Spirit, Pleasantville, to wrap things up. You want to talk about those two teams real quick, Mike? Because I'm personally, selfishly curious about what your thoughts are on Holy Spirit and Pleasantville, because Pleasantville has, some big players over there, especially coming over from the football team, some good athletes. So if you want to touch on that matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Holy Spirit, they're off to a good start this season. They'll be shorthanded tomorrow, though. Christian Kalinowski, their great senior guard, senior swingman who had 20-something points in their win over Atlantic City earlier this season. He's got a pretty bad ankle injury, so he will probably miss tomorrow night's game. So Holy Spirit will be a little shorthanded. And for Pleasantville, they were up to a 5-1 start. Elijah Jones, a 6'7", 6'8" junior, nicknamed Sticks. He's really kind of emerged as one of South Jersey's top players. Pleasantville came out, won their first 4 or 5 games, and then dropped the heartbreaker to Father Judge. And a game Pleasantville really should have won. They lost to Father Judge at the buzzer down at the Boardwalk Basketball Classic at Wildwood, a game where Pleasantville kind of came out slow in that first half. They took a lead and then did not make free throws and committed some key turnovers and ended up losing that game. So you'll have a Pleasantville team that's kind of well motivated to get back on the winning track against Holy Spirit. And let's face it, that's a big rivalry game. Pleasantville, Holy Spirit, two schools located, a mile apart from each other on Route 9. So it's a big rivalry game and a chance for Holy Spirit to sort of continue their early season success, and a chance for Pleasantville, who has, been one of the surprise teams up until the Father Judge defeat, to get back on the winning track.
Follow him on Twitter. Mike McGarry joining us from the Press of Atlantic City. Follow him on Twitter at AC Press McGarry. Mike, how about the girls' side of things? I don't want to leave them out. Any big games over the weekend there? And if you want to just give a quick update on the girls' high school basketball landscape from the past week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last night there was a big game out there. My colleague at the Press, Pat Mulran, covered it. Middle Township beat Atlantic City by 10. That was a matchup of two of our Elite 11 teams. The Middle Township, number 5 off the top of my head, Atlantic City, number 11. And congratulations to Coach John Leahy of Middle Township. He got career win number 300 last night. And with that win over Atlantic City, I know it's still early in the season, but Middle Township kind of establishes itself as, maybe the team to beat in the Cape Atlantic League. I mean, Wildwood Catholic is undefeated, but so far Middle Township early this season, they got a win over Mainland Regional up at the Score at the Shore tournament at Southern Regional over the Christmas break. So you put that win over Mainland together with a win over Atlantic City, and if there's an early season favorite to win the CAL right now, it's probably Middle Township. And today at the Seagull at 12:30, an opportunity to see Kylie Watson, the University of Oregon recruit of Mainland, obviously 6'5" senior. We're not going to be able to see her live in person on the East Coast for much longer with her going to Oregon. So, anytime you get a chance to see her play, you got to take advantage of it as they take on a Cherokee team that is one of the top teams in the state of New Jersey. And Mainland a little shorthanded, too, like Holy Spirit. Cameron Dirks, their great sophomore guard, battling a foot injury. She'll miss today's game, but an opportunity to see Watson out at Holy Spirit, that's an opportunity that, you can't pass up right there.
You got to love it, man. It's good that, all of these high school tournaments, basketball tournaments are going on like this. The Wildwood Catholic, the Wildwood Classic tournament is a big one, which we talked about last week. And then that segues right into the Seagull Classic, which is obviously this weekend, as we're talking about, at Holy Spirit. Who can have a Milt Wagner 52-point type of game at the Seagull Classic this weekend?
Well, that's one of the more historic games of all time in the history of South Jersey basketball. So, I don't know if there's going to be a player to go see that, but I think if you look at what, obviously Wildwood Catholic with their two players, Tosh Fleet and Jaleel White, their two Division I recruits are big players to watch. And the Patrick School's got a kid by the name of Jonathan Kamunga. He's a 6'7" guard. He is considered the number 1 player in the class of, I believe, 2021. And he's considered to be an NBA lottery pick in 2022. So he's a guy that if you want to come out, now he's probably going to reclassify this year, and he's being recruited by Kentucky and Duke. So he is a guy that you're probably going to see playing for Kentucky and Duke next year, and he's going to be a lottery pick in that probably 21 draft, I believe. The years kind of run together now, or 22 drafts. But there's a guy that, if you want to set, who could be played on TV for the next 10, 15 years, there's a guy you can go out to Absecon and say, hey, I saw him, play in person when he was in high school. So, there's a guy that you can kind of watch this weekend, and who knows what he'll be able to do out there against St. Augustine Prep tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I would say that's worth the price of admission. And speaking of the price of admission, do you know those numbers off the top of your head? Not to put you on the spot.
It's actually $10 to get in.
I knew you would.
I think senior citizens and kids are $5, and kids under 5 are free. And that's the value of high school sports, right? I mean, I went to the movies the other day to see Uncut Gems. It cost me, I don't know, we went with 4 people. It was like an $80 day,
Only 80?
Hours, basically, yeah. we cut down on the popcorn, stuff like that. But for high school sports, for $10, you can sit there all day. And, that includes admission to every game. So you can see 4 or 5 games in a row. So for the money you spend, it's a great buy. You get a lot of bang for your buck.
Absolutely. I mean, you're watching, kids, like you said, that could be wearing a Kentucky jersey, a Duke jersey, maybe a 76ers jersey eventually. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City covers high school sports in South Jersey and assortment of other sports as well, as he notes in his Twitter bio. Mike, a couple quick things before I let you go here on this Saturday morning. One, what'd you think of Uncut Gems?
I thought it was very good. A lot of little bit of a nerve-wracking experience, but as far as moving your emotions and I thought the way it was shot with the close-ups, kind of hectic, was definitely unique, but definitely one of the top movies of the year. But definitely, I thought it was an emotional experience. And if you're a sports fan, I think it makes it even better because the knowledge that you have of sports makes it even better. So
absolutely,
I give it a thumbs up, basically.
Yeah, I heard Kevin Garnett in it was actually pretty good, and the fact that it's a true story and it actually is himself that he's portraying, a lot of that stuff that you're going to see in that movie is real. Anything can happen when I'm hosting the Pete Thompson Show, Mike McGarry. I'm asking you to do movie reviews. One more thing here before we let you go. Obviously, Eagles-Seahawks tomorrow. How you feeling about the game?
Well, I keep kind of looking at it objectively. I think the Eagles got a very good shot. I think I was more concerned about the Eagles last week against the New York Giants than I am this week. I just think it's tough for a team to come across the country twice and beat you on your home field twice. So, I think the Eagles are playing well. I think some of their and I take some heat for this, but I think some of the injuries that happened to them are the best things that ever happened to them. Getting guys like Boston Scott and Greg Ward on the field, I think those guys, look better to me. So sometimes injuries are the best things that happen to the team. Wentz is obviously in a nice groove. They're at home. Obviously the only caveat you have is I never feel comfortable picking against Russell Wilson, because I guess last week he came 6 inches away from pulling that game off, but he seems to always, this time of year able to pull things off. So that's the thing that basically concerns me. But I think the Eagles at home, I just think it's hard for a team to come across the country twice and beat you on your home field twice in a span of 8 weeks. So,
yeah.
I think the odds are in the Eagles' favor tomorrow. But again, though, the big caveat I have is, Russell Wilson is one of those quarterbacks you just don't feel comfortable, picking against, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not for Lamar Jackson's historic year, I think it would be a pretty safe bet that Russell Wilson could be the MVP of the National Football League. But That's why they play the game Eagles Seahawks tomorrow. And Mike McGarry, every day is game day for Mike. He will be at the Seagull Classic at Holy Spirit throughout the weekend. Maybe I'll catch you over there, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, good enough, Ryan. Always a pleasure. I'll see you down the road.
All right, thank you.